The judge was about to take my son away, until he raised his hand and said, "I recorded something Dad doesn't know." My wife went completely pale before the video even started. 30 seconds later, the entire courtroom turned against her. But before we get to that, do us one quick favor. Subscribe, hit the like button while you're at it, and comment where you're listening from so we can see how far these stories are reaching. My name is Richard, and I am about to tell you what happened when my wife's plan to destroy our family backfired in the most public and permanent way possible. Let me start from the beginning. My wife Catherine and I were married for 22 years. That is a long time. You think you know someone after 2 decades. You share beds, you share meals, you share the raising of children. You share arguments about money and vacations and whose turn it is to drive the kids to practice. You think you have seen every side of them, every mood, every secret. I was wrong. Our son Michael was 16 years old when Catherine first started talking about divorce. He was our youngest, our only boy. We had 2 daughters as well, Emily and Jessica, both grown and out of the house by then. Michael still lived with us because he was in high school. He was a good kid, quiet like me. He liked computers and video games. He played on the school's chess team. He never got into trouble. He did his homework. He always said please and thank you. Catherine decided that she wanted a divorce in the middle of Michael's junior year. She said she was unhappy. She said she had been unhappy for a long time. She said I was too quiet, too boring, too focused on my accounting work. She said I never paid attention to her needs. I did not argue with her. I could have pointed out that I was the one who paid for the house, the car, the groceries, the clothes on her back. I could have pointed out that she stopped working 15 years ago and I never complained. I could have pointed out that every Sunday I took her to her mother's house even though I did not like her mother very much. I could have pointed out a lot of things. But I did not. I figured if she wanted to leave, she would leave. I would not hold her against her will. She did not leave, though. That was the strange part. She filed for divorce, but she stayed in the house. She said it was because she needed to establish residency in the state. She said we needed to sell the house and split everything 50-50. She said we needed to figure out custody of Michael since he was still a minor. I agreed to all of it. I signed the papers. I met with her lawyers. I did everything she asked without a fight. Looking back, I think that is where I made my first mistake. She expected me to fight. She expected arguments. She expected anger. When I gave her nothing, it confused her. And confused people, I have learned, they get angry. They try harder to provoke a reaction. It started small. She would make comments at dinner about how I never helped around the house. I helped every night. I cooked dinner 3 times a week. I cleaned up after myself. I did the laundry. But she would say things like, "I guess some people think money buys everything," and she would look at me while she said it. I would just nod. I would say something like, "Okay," and keep eating. She did not like that. She got louder. She started calling me names when Michael was not home. Cold, detached, emotionless. She said I did not love my own son. She said I was using Michael as an excuse to avoid signing the divorce papers faster. That was not true. I loved Michael very much. I just did not see the point in fighting over paperwork. The divorce was going to happen regardless of how I felt about it. Why waste energy being angry? Catherine could not understand this. To her, my calmness was a weapon. She thought I was trying to make her look crazy. She thought I was recording her conversations to use against her later. I was not. I did not have that kind of sneakiness in me, but she became obsessed with the idea. One night after dinner, she went through my phone while I was in the bathroom. She found nothing, of course. There was nothing to find. But she got so angry that she threw my phone against the wall. It cracked down the middle. I picked up the pieces. I put them on the kitchen counter. I said, "We can get that fixed," and I went to bed. The next day, she took Michael out for ice cream. When they came back, Michael was quiet. He avoided my gaze. He went straight to his room and closed the door. I knocked on his door. I asked if he was okay. He said he was fine. I asked if he wanted to talk about anything. He said no. I told him I was there if he needed me. He said okay. I went back to my office. I did some work. I tried not to think too much about what had happened. A week later, Catherine filed a motion with the court. It was an emergency motion. She claimed I was emotionally abusing Michael. She claimed I was isolating him. She claimed he was afraid of me. She claimed he had told her things that made her fear for his safety. I found out about this motion when I received a call from my lawyer. His name was Daniel. He was a nice man. He had gray hair and glasses. He sounded worried when he talked to me. "Richard," he said, "I am not going to lie to you. This is serious. She is asking for full custody. She is asking for supervised visits only. She is painting a very dark picture." I sat at my desk. I looked at the wall. I felt nothing. That is not entirely true. I felt something. I felt tired. I felt like I had been walking through a fog for months and I could not find my way out. "What does she want?" I asked. "She wants the house. She wants the savings. She wants the retirement accounts. She wants child support. She wants it all, Richard. And if the judge grants this motion, she might get it." I said nothing. "Richard, are you still there?" "Yes," I said, "I am here." "Can you come to my office? We need to discuss our strategy." "I will be there," I said. I hung up the phone. I sat at my desk for a long time. I looked at the crack in my phone screen. I thought about Michael. I thought about ice cream. I thought about the way he looked away. Something was wrong. I could feel it, but I could not quite figure out what it was. The custody hearing was set for 3 weeks later. During those 3 weeks, Catherine played the perfect victim. She cried in front of the lawyers. She wrote letters about my supposed abuse. She had Michael visit a therapist who somehow concluded that he was traumatized by me. I met with my own lawyer. I gave him the names of people who could testify on my behalf, neighbors who had known me for years, coworkers, friends, people who had seen me raise my children, people who knew I was not an abuser. He nodded as I spoke. He wrote down everything I said, but I could see in his eyes that he was worried. "These are good people," he said, "but the judge is going to look at the evidence Catherine has provided. She has a therapist's report. She has her own testimony. She has Michael's supposed statements. We need something to counter that." "What kind of something?" I asked. "Something that shows Michael is not afraid of you. Something that shows the abuse claims are false. Something that shows Michael might be coached or influenced." I thought about that. I thought about my son. I thought about ice cream. I thought about his eyes when he came home that night. "I will see what I can do," I said. I went home. Catherine was there. She was sitting on the couch watching television. She did not look at me when I walked in. She took a sip of her wine. "Your lawyer called," she said without looking away from the screen. "Yes." "He sounds worried." "Yes." "Good." She smiled. It was not a nice smile. It was a smile that said she had already won. I went to Michael's room. I knocked. He said, "Come in." He was at his desk. His laptop was open. He had headphones on. He was playing some game. He took off the headphones when he saw me. "Hey," he said. "Hey," I said, "can we talk?" He shrugged, "Sure." I sat on his bed. I looked around his room. It was messy, clothes on the floor, a half-empty soda can on the desk, posters on the walls of bands I did not recognize. It smelled like a teenage boy's room. I smiled a little at that. "I wanted to ask you something," I said. "Okay. Is everything okay?" He looked at me. His eyes were tired, sad. Something was behind those eyes that I could not quite read. "Yeah," he said, "I'm fine." "Are you sure? You have seemed different lately." "I'm just tired. School is busy." "Okay." We sat in silence for a moment. I wanted to say more. I wanted to ask about the ice cream. I wanted to ask about the therapist. I wanted to ask what he told his mother that made her file those papers. But something stopped me. Maybe it was the look in his eyes. Maybe it was the feeling that he was not telling me something important. "If you ever need to talk," I said, "I am here." "I know, Dad." I nodded. I stood up. I went to the door. "Dad." I turned. "Thanks for asking," he said. I smiled. "Anytime." I closed the door behind me. I walked down the hallway. Catherine was still on the couch, still watching television, still not looking at me. I went to my office. I closed the door. I sat in my chair. I thought about my son. I thought about his eyes. I thought about his thanks. Something was going on. I did not know what, but I was going to find out. The night before the hearing, I could not sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. Catherine was on the other side of the bed. She was sleeping, or pretending to sleep. I could not tell the difference anymore. I got up around midnight. I walked downstairs. I got a glass of water. I sat at the kitchen table. The house was quiet, too quiet. I could hear the clock ticking on the wall, the ice maker in the refrigerator making occasional sounds, the wind outside. I thought about the past few months. I thought about Catherine's transformation. She was not the woman I married. That woman had been kind, warm, loving. This woman was cold, calculated, cruel. What happened to her? When did she change? Was there another man? Was that what this was about? I did not know. I had no proof, just a feeling. The more I sat there, the more I realized something. Catherine had been planning this for a long time, maybe years. She filed for divorce but stayed in the house because she needed a witness to establish residency. She stayed because she needed access to Michael. She needed to turn him against me. Why? What did she gain by taking him away? Money, that was the obvious answer. Child support, alimony, half of everything I owned. But there was something else, something I could not name. I finished my water. I washed the glass. I went back upstairs. I did not sleep. The morning of the hearing, I put on my best suit. It was a little tight around the shoulders. I had gained weight from sitting at a desk all day. I did not care. This was not a fashion show. I drove to the courthouse alone. Catherine had taken Michael the night before. She said they were staying at her mother's house. I did not argue. I did not ask questions. The courthouse was crowded. Divorces, custody disputes, traffic violations, all sorts of people with all sorts of problems. I sat in the waiting area. I looked at the floor. I thought about what I was going to say. Daniel found me 20 minutes before the hearing was scheduled to start. "Richard," he said, "I have good news and bad news." "What is the bad news?" "Catherine's lawyer filed something this morning, additional evidence. Apparently Michael gave her a letter he wrote about you." "What does it say?" "It says he is afraid of you. It says he does not want to live with you anymore. It says he has been hiding his true feelings because he is scared of how you might react." I felt something in my chest, something cold, something heavy. "And the good news?" "The good news is that Michael is here. The judge wants to talk to him directly. She wants to hear from the source, if we can show that Catherine coached him." "What if she did not coach him?" I asked. "What if he really thinks those things?" Daniel looked at me. His eyes were kind, pitying. "Then we have a very difficult road ahead," he said. We walked into the courtroom together. Catherine was already there. She was sitting at a table with her lawyer. She had dressed for the occasion. A black dress, pearls, perfect makeup. She looked like a grieving widow. Michael was sitting next to her. He looked uncomfortable. His tie was too tight. His hair had been combed. He looked like a boy who had been dressed up for a photograph he did not want to take. Our eyes met. He looked away. I took my seat. Daniel sat beside me. He laid out our papers on the table. The judge came in. She was a woman in her 50s, gray hair, glasses, a stern face. She did not look like someone who tolerated nonsense. We stood, she sat down. She told us to sit down. "Let me understand the situation," she said. "Petitioner is seeking full custody of the minor child, alleging emotional abuse by the respondent. Petitioner claims the child has expressed fear of the respondent and wishes to reside with the petitioner permanently." "Yes, Your Honor," Catherine's lawyer said. "Respondent denies these allegations." "Yes, Your Honor," Daniel said. "We deny that there has been any abuse. We believe the child has been coached by the petitioner to make these false statements." The judge looked at Michael. "Young man," she said, "I would like to hear from you. Are you afraid of your father?" Catherine's hand moved to Michael's arm. She squeezed it. Michael looked at his mother, then he looked at me, then he looked at the floor. "Yes," he said quietly. The courtroom went still. I felt Daniel stiffen beside me. "You are afraid of your father?" the judge asked. "Yes." "Can you tell me why?" Michael opened his mouth, then he closed it, then he opened it again. Catherine squeezed his arm again, harder this time. "Take your time," the judge said gently. Michael's voice cracked. "I'm afraid because—" He stopped, he looked at me again, our eyes met, and for just a moment I saw something in his face, something that did not match his words. He raised his hand. The judge stopped talking, everyone stopped talking. "I recorded something," Michael said, "something Dad doesn't know about." Catherine went completely pale. Her hand fell from his arm. Her face turned white. "What did you say?" the judge asked. "I recorded something," Michael repeated. "A conversation between Mom and someone else, someone who is not Dad. I recorded it on my phone." The courtroom erupted into whispers. The judge pounded her gavel. "Order, order in the courtroom." The whispers stopped, but the damage was done. Everyone was looking at Catherine now, her perfect makeup, her pearls, her victim pose. "Young man," the judge said, "do you have this recording with you?" "Yes, Your Honor." "May I see it?" Michael stood up. He walked to the judge's bench. He handed her his phone. The judge put on glasses. She pressed play. The courtroom was silent. I could hear my own heartbeat. I could hear Catherine's breathing beside me, fast and shallow. The recording was only 30 seconds long, but those 30 seconds changed everything. I heard Catherine's voice. I heard another voice, a man's voice, a voice I did not recognize. They were discussing the divorce. They were discussing the custody battle. They were discussing how to make sure Michael testified against me. "We need to make sure he is scared," Catherine's voice said. "He has to believe it. Kids are good at that." "He will believe it," the man's voice said. "Just follow the script I gave you." "He is being difficult. He keeps saying his father is not like that." "Remind him who puts food on the table. Remind him who signs the checks. He will come around." "If this doesn't work—" "It will work, trust me. The judge will believe a scared kid. They always do." The recording ended. The courtroom was completely silent. I looked at Catherine. Her face was gray. Her hands were shaking. The judge took off her glasses. She looked at Catherine with an expression I will never forget. "Madam," she said, "do you have anything to say?" Catherine's mouth opened and closed. No words came out. The judge turned to Michael. "Son," she said, "do you want to live with your father?" Michael looked at me. His eyes were clear now. No more looking away, no more hiding. "Yes, Your Honor," he said. The judge nodded. She turned to her clerk. "Dismiss the petition," she said. "Full custody to the father. Supervised visits for the mother pending a full investigation into these allegations." She stood up. She left the courtroom. The room exploded into noise. Reporters, family members, friends, everyone was talking at once. I stood up. I looked at Michael. He walked toward me. He stopped in front of me. "I'm sorry," he said. I didn't want to do it, but she made me. She kept telling me things about you, bad things. She said you didn't love me. She said you only stayed for the money. She said. I know, I said. She had me see that therapist. She told me what to say. She told me to be scared of you. I didn't want to, but. You did the right thing, I said. I recorded it because I didn't believe her. The first time she told me something about you, something mean, I didn't believe it, so I started recording her. I wanted to know the truth. I put my hand on his shoulder. You are a good kid, I said. He smiled. It was a real smile, the kind I had not seen in months. Catherine was led out of the courtroom in handcuffs. The police had questions. The man's voice on the recording belonged to her brother. Her own brother had helped her plot against us. They were both going to face charges: conspiracy, fraud, witness tampering. I did not feel satisfaction. I did not feel triumph. I felt tired. I felt old. I felt like I had just survived a war I never wanted to fight. We left the courthouse together. Michael and we walked to my car in the parking lot. What now? He asked. Now, I thought about it. Now we go home. Home. Yes, your home, my home, our home. He nodded. Dad. Yes. Thank you for being patient with her, even when she was terrible. I know it wasn't easy. I opened the car door. I looked at him. She was your mother, I said. People make mistakes, even the people who are supposed to love us. The important thing is that you found the truth. I was scared to give her that recording. I didn't know what would happen. Neither did I. But I knew it was the right thing. Does it feel good? I asked. He thought about it. No, he said. It feels like I lost something, even though I won. I understood exactly what he meant. We drove home in silence. The radio was off. The windows were down. The wind blew through our hair. When we got home, the house was empty. Catherine's things were still there. Her clothes, her makeup, her books, her wine glasses. I did not touch any of it. I called a lawyer. I called a moving company. I called a therapist. Michael started seeing a counselor once a week. It helped him sort through everything. The guilt, the confusion, the anger, he worked through it, slowly, like healing from any wound. Catherine's brother went to jail for 18 months. Catherine herself was placed on probation. She had to attend anger management classes. She had to pay back some of the money she tried to take. She wrote us letters, apology letters, long letters full of regret. I never read them. Michael read some of them. He did not know what to do with them either. Time passed, it always does. Michael graduated from high school. He went to college. He studied computer science. He came home on weekends sometimes. We would watch movies together. We would cook dinner. We would talk about nothing important. I never remarried. I never dated. I was too old for that. I had my son. I had my work. I had my quiet life. That was enough for me. I am telling you this story because I want you to understand something. Quiet people are often underestimated. We do not yell. We do not make scenes. We do not throw phones against walls. We sit. We watch. We wait. Some people think that makes us weak. Some people think we do not care. Some people think they can walk all over us without consequences. They are wrong. My wife thought she could take everything from me. She thought she could turn my son against me. She thought she could walk away with my money and my house and my happiness. She did not count on one thing. My son was smarter than both of us. He saw through her lies. He found the truth. And when the time was right, he did what needed to be done. I did not have to lift a finger. Sometimes the best revenge is not revenge at all. Sometimes it is simply staying calm, staying observant, staying patient, and trusting the people who truly love you. If this story resonated with you, join our channel by liking and subscribing for more real, raw, and family-centered stories. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next one.